There we go. We are making progress. Slowly, surely. Don't know if this is even working. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up with you? How's
Hmm.
it been?
It's been fine. How about you?
You know?
Fuck. All right. Check. And there you go. Lost all of our viewers. So
quiz I give a lot of people. More people you know personally talking about God than you did, say, 10 years ago.
Yes. And I am that person. I mean, I was an atheist 10 years ago.
What happened?
I had my daughter.
Yeah.
That's, as I found God the day my wife delivered our first child, and which is a fairly common experience. I know other people who have had the same thing, were atheists until that moment. And
what changed in you?
So, all right. So it was basically, so I met it's a fairly normal story, but I met my wife and we got engaged, and then we got married. So my wife's like the most amazing chick. She's just great. And I know it's always a thing to say. It's like my wife's better than your wife type thing. But everybody who knows my wife, I don't mean you, I've never met your wife, but she is better. And just kidding.
No, I don't hear people compliment their spouses enough, actually. I don't think everyone always says that. I wish people said that more often.
Well, I do. It's not me. She's really just the best. Everyone who knows her would agree. I mean, like, it's just like, she's like the most amazing woman. She's just gorgeous, and she's really super smart, and she's really sweet and kind. And she's just like, she puts everyone above herself. She's like, I really hit the lottery with her. And I was never, I was like habitually single. I was never a relationship guy.
Yes.
And I never really wanted to get married. I kind of always had this view of like, women are trying to change you or trying to control you. Every girl that I ever dated always wanted a relationship, and then they always wanted me to not do this or not do that. And
yes.
My wife she just had my back. She just always like wanted to make my life better, and she did. And I fell in love with her.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this woman. And so then when she got pregnant, I was just very excited. It was like, you just got married, got a baby on the way. I was just like, this is the best. Like, I'm really excited to do this. And I was right. It was the best thing I've ever done. And so the day that was, she was over her due date. So then they scheduled to come in to induce pregnancy, because they don't let you go too long these days. Which I guess maybe they're right about that. I don't know. But anyway, so we go to the hospital.
They get the Pitocin out.
Yes, that's right. So we're at Lenox Hill Hospital on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And by the way, I should add, just leading into the story, I had been like a militant atheist when I was younger. I had started to open up my mind a little bit to being like, I was seeing some of the holes in the atheist arguments, but I still was not like a believer in God. And so we were at Lenox Hill Hospital, and this was the first one. This is how it started. Was the anesthesiologist came in to give my wife an epidural, and at Lenox Hill, or at least this guy, they asked me to leave the room. They said they ask the fathers to leave the room when they do it, because they're putting a spinal thing in, and you have to be very, very precise.
It's horrifying
yeah,
to see it,
right.
Yeah.
So like, and they don't want you there to react, because then she might react.
Exactly right.
And so they don't want to. So I go at,
and she can't see what's happening.
Right. She can't see, but she could see you seeing. And so they want people with a straight poker face who have seen this a lot of times and are not watching it happen to their wife and baby. So there's a reasonable ask. But so I go out, and I'm in the hallway in the maternity ward at Lenox Hill Hospital. And it just hit me. It was like, for the first time, I guess I had not really thought about this. I was just so excited to get my family started. But for the first time, it hit me that like something could go wrong, and that I could leave here alone. Like something could go wrong, that I could lose the baby. I could lose my wife, and it's totally out of my control. And like, as this started hitting me, I started like really getting emotional. And it's like, I'm out there, and I'm like, I'm crying in the hallway of this maternity ward. And immediately I just started talking to God. And I just started not just talking to God, but like negotiating with God.
Y'all ever negotiate with God?
And I was just like, like, dear Lord, if you make sure that they're okay, I'm going to do, like, I'm going to be the best husband and the best father, and I will do this, and like all the different things in your life.
Had you ever prayed before?
No, never once in my life. And it all, like all the things that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing that well. Like I was like, okay, I'll clean this up. I'll call my mom more often. I'll do this thing. And so anyway, so I just started like praying to God, and not just praying, but like negotiating. So anyway, everything was fine with that. but my wife, this was the first of many times. There were a bunch of complications in the pregnancy. Everyone came out okay, thank God. But so I ended up talking to God a lot that day. And then just like as the days went on,
it's so interesting. It's organic.
Well, that's
a lifetime of not believing, and then you just start.
And so
praying.
this is almost like what intellectually, converted me later. Was I was like, hey, what the hell was that? I mean, I can't look back and just ignore that.
Here's the facts of life. You may not learn until you're older, but I'm going to tell you now.
What do you guys-
It's very hard to have a good time if you're wearing the compliments people here get when they sign up for email and text alerts. That's 10% off.
I just thought this was interesting because I'm not an atheist. And when people ask me if I believe in God, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's complicated, but I usually say yes to an extent. But I don't pray or I don't talk to God or plead with God or anything. So I don't know. I just found this take by what's his name? Dave Smith to be kind of strange, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
For Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/Tucker.
And there was one, again, I'm almost a little uncomfortable talking about these things because I like talking about things where I have a real tight argument that I can prove is irrefutable.
This is a more profound argument, actually.
But it was something where I was like, look, so in the moment when it was really all on the line and out of my control, I wasn't thinking maybe God exists. I knew for a 100% certainty, unlike nothing I've ever known in my life, that not only did I know that God existed, but I knew what he wanted from me. I knew what my negotiating power in this is that I could, you know what I'm saying? I could promise I'll be a good person. So not only did I know God existed, I knew that God wanted me to be a good person. And and look, this is something that people who have found God know, and people who don't believe in God maybe will not accept. But there is something to when you open yourself up like that to God, you find out that he's real. And it's not like he speaks to you or he hallucinates. I don't see a fiery bush and the words of God started talking, but he fills you. When you open yourself like that to it, you get filled by it. And there's no more debate in your mind over whether that's a real phenomenon or not. You're and any more than if I were to leave.
If anyone wants to click the link and join up on the stream here, I'm really just trying to test out if the streaming platform lets me have random guests on. So you don't have to do it, but if anybody is curious to give it a try, I think there's 3 or 4 of you in here. See if you can click that link or see what happens if you do that. That would be interesting. Other than that, we're just watching a quick video here.
And someone would be like, do you believe in Tucker Carlson? And I'd be like, no, I know for certain. I know for a certainty that Tucker Carlson exists. I was just with him. It's like that. And so it was, and it changed my life. And ever since I regularly pray to God. It's something I'm conscious of every single day.
No way.
Every day. And I don't even pray exactly. I don't ask for things ever. I ask for one thing ever from God, which is that my wife and my kids are healthy and safe. It's the only thing I ever pray for. I don't ask for anything. The only other thing that I do is I express gratitude. God, I just say thank you for everything I have. So that's the extent of it. But I think that I cannot overstate how much I think that's made me a better person.
Really?
Yeah, Ryan, if you want to send me an email, if you want to set something up, we could do that. Or if there's a certain day or time that works, I'd love to have people on. I'd love to meet people and have a conversation. So yeah, send me an email or, we could talk about it in the chat.
Yeah, just it's very, very good for you to constantly remind yourself how lucky you are that you have all the things that you have. It's very easy to get away from that, and that's where you ruin your inner happiness, your inner joy. Is if you start taking the things you have for granted. Because once you when you think you could lose everything you already have and then you don't, that's when you really appreciate it. You really appreciate how lucky we all are.
Well, not to be too blunt or too personal, but you're on the cusp of change in your life on the basis of what's happened in the last month in your life. I've just seen this story so many times.
Yeah.
So to be vulgar, your income in this year will be higher than last year. I'm just telling you that because you're way more famous and you're also on the right side of history, I think.
Yeah, I hope so.
And and certainly on the right side of popular opinion. So like that, do you think, I mean, the danger in life is getting what you want and finding yourself unhappier. Are you worried about that?
No, I'm really not. And I do just think that it's because, again, if this was happening to me at 25 or at 30, I would be very concerned about that danger. Literally, like what I just told you is kind of already happened in my life.
Yes.
I know who I am as a person. I kind of know what money actually means. It's like, there's lots of nice things. I'm not downplaying money. It's very important, particularly in my position. It's very important for me to be able to protect my wife and kids, that we have some money, you know what I mean? So that I can do that. But no, I'm really not worried about that at this point. I think I've kind of, like, my wife herself is a very grounding force for me. Yes. She's the person whose approval I seek.
Yes.
She's the person whose opinion I really care about, you know? Yes. And so like that's, and she keeps me very grounded. Also, just as you know, having these little kids just keeps you grounded because they just don't care at all.
Like it's literally at all.
My 6-year-old, the other day we were out to dinner. And so we're out to dinner, we're sitting down, my wife, my 6-year-old girl, and my 3-year-old boy, and the owner of the restaurant is like a fan of mine. So he comes over to the table, he goes, "Oh, thank you guys so much for coming. I just wanted to shake your hand. I really appreciate everything you're doing." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that." So he leaves. And then my daughter, my 6-year-old, who's kind of 17, but she's 6, she turns over at me and she goes, "Why'd he come over and say hi to you, Dad? Because you're famous." And then just looks, and then just turned right back to her menu. I mean, it was like she could not have just undercut me more than that. I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm not really that cool." All right, but that stuff helps.
It's the best.
I'm really lucky that I didn't have this moment 15 years ago. Yes. That I had it now. So I think I'll be good. But then, you cut back to me in a year. I come back here, I got like the shades on or something. It's totally ruined me.
Pellegrino, not Perrier.
Goodness gracious. Mom, is that you?
Yeah, it seems it worked.
Wow.
If Mom can do it, anybody can do it, right?
You could do it. Anyone can do it. Wow. What'd you think of the clip, Mom? Gets your instant reaction.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just literally clicked on it right now, so I didn't see any of it.
Wow.
I'll have to get you on the replay.
Well, what do you think about the room topic, the room title?
I don't see it.
Doesn't it say like, "Do you believe in God?" as like a headline or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right now I only see "Do you believe" on the top. But yeah.
Okay.
What do I think about the type? That's a very
No,
controversial.
To answer the question. Answer the question.
Oh, do I believe in God? Oh, yes, of course. God is love. Love is energy. That's what I believe in. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Simple.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, the main question is just, do you believe in God? This is just kind of testing the stream software, see if I can get it working well. Atheist Gamer, I'm not surprised to know that you don't believe in God. If you want to join the debate, you can feel free to join the link there and give your take.
I'm just looking for my water.
Strong answer, Mama. Yeah, good answer, Mom.
Well, it gives me it gives me peace.
Mm-hmm. Which is good to have these days.
Yeah, and like it's all good karma. You want good karma. You want to attract it to karma. You want to pay it forward. You want to give it out. That's what I think about when I think of God. I don't think about a man in the sky.
You think God is karma?
I think he's good karma. He's the best.
Well, you'd have to define karma.
The belief that you are putting positivity out into the world, and therefore, well, it could be good karma or bad karma. Good karma is putting positivity out in the world, surrounding yourself with positivity.
So
that's how I think of it.
the Buddhists would correct you and tell you that karma is not inherently good or bad.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I
Kar-
know that. Yeah, I know.
Karma is it just means action,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, good action, good trouble.
Mhm. Which inevitably creates results, and so the action, the result are sort of tied up in karma.
Mhm.
You know, whether you believe that or not. But Atheist Gamer, you don't have to have a mic or anything to join. It should be fine. I think, Mom, you're just on it with your phone, right?
Yeah, I'm just on it with my phone, and yeah, I just happened to walk in. I was in the middle of charging it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I saw this popped up.
Do you think I believe in God, Mom?
No, I know you don't, and
I'm not an atheist.
you're agnostic.
Yeah. Atheist Gamer says, let me just present the Epicurean answer. If God is good, why is there evil? If God is evil, why worship God? I don't look at it that way, Atheist Gamer, because I don't, I don't, good and evil are such relative concepts. You we were talking about it in the context of cancer. It's like, why do certain people get cancer? Or why do certain babies die young? Or like, why do certain, why is there like factory farming? Or like, why are there bad things or like evil things? It's like, you can look at good and evil a lot of the times from like relative human perspectives, and we can define them like that. But a lot of the time, these things come down to like a biological answer or sort of like a physical answer. And then the question is it sort of just gets back to like, there's a system that was created, right, that we all exist in. And my understanding is that some foundation had to design a system, for like mathematics or of biology that could just sort of, produce life and experience and things like that. So we're just living one of those experiences. There's probably, infinite universes or examples of that, different sort of experiments. I think we're just one sort of set of physical rules that was, tuned or created by some fundamental source. And we're just having that particular experience. We're having our experience, and that is what it is. But probably there's some kind of unifying, like, greater force. I don't know what it is though. Because then, like, atheism sort of doesn't make sense either, because you'd have to deny the existence of yourself in a way. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, Mom? Does that make sense, Atheist Gamer? Like, you'd have to deny the existence that you're having if you're gonna go full atheist, because by definition, God is sort of all experience. You know what I mean?
Well, he's energy, or it's energy.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your good and evil, I believe that in order to have the positive good, the most positive good, you need to have the most negative evil, the yin and the yang.
I agree.
That's mathematically, you know, available, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You have to have balance.
So
I
I
think
don't think
everything-
God is responsible for evil. I just think that God is responsible for good. Evil's responsible for evil.
Well, who is evil?
He's not a who, he's a what? He's hate. He's
That doesn't make sense though, because God is supposed to be everything.
well, you just gave a definition of one person's definition. So
Well, then you believe in you believe in like a dualistic.
well, God created the good and evil, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Which you could, I mean, that could be it. I mean, it could be
I would buy that.
It could be a dualistic. It doesn't have to be any one, just a one thing. Atheism means I don't believe in God. It is not something to do with denying myself. Why would you think like that? Atheism means pantheism. I forget what pantheism.
Many gods.
Pantheism, the belief that the universe and everything within it, including nature, is divine. Essentially equates God with the cosmos. Yeah, that's kind of.
But that's, again, all positive.
I'm closer to pantheist than anything.
But how do you rationalize the evil?
It's
Sorry.
part of it. Like you said, it needs to be balanced. Everything needs to be, for every positive, there's a negative. You see it everywhere in nature. So it has to make sense like that, and maybe there's just like a slight bit more positive than negative, or some think that there's more negative than positive. I mean, at least right now, it kind of seems like that, in where we live. Actually, well, in many places, but
We're more fortunate than most everyone else. Well, in third world countries, but I don't want to digress there. In fact, I need to pop off because I was in the middle of something when I just picked this up. So
well, thanks
have
for
to-
joining.
I have to
and
go back
testing.
and prepare the dinner.
All right.
All
I
right.
get it.
Peace
All right,
out.
Bye. Let me see if I
Bye.
can kick you off. Oh, I did it. All right. Atheism can simply not believe. Atheists can simply not believe in a creator. Just science and physics, no faith, only what's witnessed. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't believe in, like, when Dave Smith was talking about, like, he's praying to this God and he's having a conversation and he's pleading with him, and, like, he said he was, like, negotiating with God. I think that's a lot of bullshit. Like, I think, people that think that they're, like, talking to some dude in the sky or whatever they think it is, I think that's kind of silly, to still think like that. I believe in the power of, like, positive thinking and setting intention and things like that. Whoops. But maybe prayer is sort of a meditation, reflection, intention setting. Like, that stuff makes sense to me. I think that's fine. I've even done it to some extent, but to think that there's, like, someone else on the other line, that's, like, listening, you know what I mean? It's just, like, I don't know, that's, like, gonna grant your wishes or your miracles. It's just not, that's just not it. Evil might be subjective. 100% evil is subjective, 100%. I agree. Being a parent can make you desperate to try anything. I don't know. I'm not a parent, so I don't know. Smith had spoken about his kid having medical issues. Yeah, true. Yeah, and unfortunately, there are people that do really desperate things in, for medical reasons. There was a documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was like this doctor from Italy that promised people he could replace their tracheas. Like, he had this new technology. Let me try to look this up. It was like a new biotechnology that he thought that he could regenerate people's tracheas. But what he was doing was he was literally just taking, like, plastic and coating it in stem cells and then, like, just ramming them into people's throats. And he did this operation on, like, 20 people, and literally, like, 19 out of 20 died. And then the 20th person had to have it removed and replaced with something else. But he was totally a complete charlatan. And he preyed on people's hopes that they were going to have, a positive outcome, that there was this, like, modern medical miracle, that he was going to solve their problems. And he ended up torturing. It was in Sweden. He ends up torturing and killing a lot of these people, so terrible things. Atheist gamer. Hold on. Let me go back. Adam Smith. Wait, let me go back even more. I missed a few comments. Good Lord. Good God. Yeah, it's a mystery. Why use words with a theological concept like God, which is in itself another obscure mystery? It leaves us in the same position of mystery, but with an added confusion. Yeah, I agree. It's like, that's my philosophy professor. I only took one philosophy class, so it's not a big deal. But he would always say, words are so limiting because words can only describe other words. And so, you're always just sort of fishing for a definition. So when he would be like, when people would ask him what if he believes in God, you always have to ask the question, well, what do you mean by, like Jordan Peterson? Well, what do you mean by God? What do you mean by believe? For all the nonsense of Jordan Peterson, when he does that kind of, those language games, he's not always completely full of shit. Although it gets ridiculous sometimes. But yeah, you gotta try to nail down those definitions. Adam Smith has an idiotic position. You mean Dave Smith? Adam Smith is the economics philosopher. If you're mixing those. Oh, okay, yeah. Dave Smith is the guy that has a podcast as part of the problem. Yeah, that's him. Well, what do you mean what's his position on Islamic terrorism? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Kind of just woke up and randomly tuned in. That's fine, Where are you located? Are you like West Coast? You just waking up or are you taking a long nap? Sunday nap. Yeah. I know. I think you meant Dave Smith, not Adam Smith. We can talk about Adam. Adam Smith is kind of interesting too. Let's see. Adam Smith centers on free markets driven by individual self-interest. Competition are the most efficient way to allocate resources and generate wealth. Foundation for modern economics. The invisible hand of the market. The great invisible hand. Jordan Peterson has had an idiotic take on atheism for years. Yeah, I know. Jordan Peterson was good for like 6 months. Like when he first got famous, he had some good takes for like 6 months, like a year. And then it all fell apart. At least that was my perspective. 100%. So Ryan Woodshow, do you have like a podcast or something? Or you do like a podcast? I have to get you guys up here sometime to chat. You were attempting. What was it about? Like, what do you like to do? Adam Smith says it's not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. Makes sense. Makes sense to me. I'd rather piggyback someone else's show. What do you mean? What you mean? I mean, I guess I know what you mean in a way, but like, what do you mean? What was your podcast about? I had this other video I was listening to before. It's kind of infuriating. It's just random stuff, but I don't even know if I'm going to play it right now. It was Matt Walsh. It was Jillian Michaels, who's also pretty silly. She was playing the rational one and like trying to explain to Matt Walsh why same-sex marriage is fine. And he doesn't seem to get it. So he's it's a couple of silly people, but Ryan says my show was on paranormal fun stuff or randomness. Do you experience synchronicity? I used to. You know what I found is like when I was thinking a lot about synchronicity, I was kind of looking for it, And when you look for it, you'll see a lot of it. And then when you kind of stop thinking about it, it just sort of disappears. Or maybe my life just hasn't been that synchronous. I just haven't had those experiences recently. Mandela effect, I think we've all had that experience in one way or another. Like you thought that some label or something or some saying was one way your whole life, and then it turns out to be something different. When you like go look at it, I've had that happen to myself, but maybe I can be I can believe in in synchronicity. I think the Mandela effect is just sort of, I don't know, people being forgetful. I don't know. Dave Smith in my mind, although now I need coffee, is always arguing that Hamas are being treated unfairly. I don't think so. I don't think he's ever made that argument explicitly. If at all, I don't think he's made that argument. Basically, it seems to me that he makes moral equivalence fallacy. Yeah, I know. I've heard that's a common thing. Also, people, or they'll say in these debates that that Dave Smith is making moral equivalencies, that he's criticizing Israel more harshly than he is Hamas. But I just think that, well, first of all, they're usually separating Palestinians from Hamas. And so one of the frustrating things in these conversations is that people will try to support or take the side of Palestinians in the conflict, and people, well, there's a comment there, and people Jesus Christ, people will twist it and say that when you're supporting Palestinians that you're actually supporting Hamas, and that's just not fair. That's a complete straw man. So I mean, I pretty much agree with most of what Dave Smith has said on that conflict. So yeah, I think it's very easy to criticize both sides. I think we have to, that might be a mistake to 100% separate them. Why? That's like saying that the problem with that take is that the only other conclusion from what you're saying is that all Palestinians are terrorists, which is just not true. So that's the distinction that I would make. So but yeah. So anyway, I'm probably going to get off in a few minutes unless there's other questions. I'd love to entertain some questions, but I'm going to go eat dinner in a few minutes because civilians. Yeah, I know they had election, but didn't Hamas do like a hostile takeover of the government there as well? And hold on a second. All right. So I think that if a person has no weapons, etc., then they're civilians. Yeah, which most of them are civilians, right? I think it's a really difficult situation. I think you have a lot of really desperate people. I think part of what Hamas did was sort of a hostile takeover there. And then obviously when they go out and do, acts of terrorism, there are large swaths of the population that are not going to be in favor of that. It's a rogue terrorist organization, You know what I mean? That's still the issue. Massive civilian casualties from indiscriminate striking. Yeah, also polling showed that they mostly support them. Yeah, I don't know. Like if you ask them, like, hey, do you support what they did on October 7th? I'm sure that those numbers would be lower. I'm sure if you asked them, do you support their mission for making Palestine have a state of their own or two-state solution or whatever, I'm sure that you get a lot of support from Palestinians. So it's like you have to take it issue by issue, just like with everything. Like I hate blanket polling where, you know, it's like they don't even give you a fair shot to answer the question. You know, you have to pull things issue by issue and to really get an understanding of what it is. Not just if you say, hey, do you support this group or not? It's like, do you support this action by this group or this policy, etc. You know, like if you asked me straight up if I approve of Donald Trump, I would say no. Of course, I don't approve of Donald Trump. I despise Trump. But and then if you ask me, hey, do you support you know, what's like a policy of his? Like, I don't know, like, do you support his ICE raids? No, of course not. Do you support his big stupid bill that he just passed? You know, 90% of the stuff in the bill I probably don't like. But then it's like part of the big beautiful bill was they extended the child tax credit, which I'd say, okay, well, that's actually a good thing. So on that particular issue, I approve of that. That's something that Trump signed off on, and so I approve of that. I'm much more in favor of getting into those specifics. It's much more interesting. 10% success is a joke, just like the U.S. strong drag record. Yeah, exactly. And they're gonna look at all the, you know, and retrospectively and realize just how bad, well, first of all, how illegal those policies were. It's just indiscriminate, and you know, it's going to be reflected on in history that what Israel and the U.S. with the U.S.'s help, what they've done in Gaza is just a complete atrocity. It's just, it is what it is, you know. It's really, truly unfortunate. So truly, honestly, and truly unfortunate. So we could have had Bernie, guys. We could have had Bernie, and this is where we're at. So, but Islamic side is totally indiscriminate. Yeah, as well. But you know, they've been fucked with. You know, they've been fucked with for decades. You know, we were the ones that toppled Iran in, like, what was it, like the 60s or the 70s. We've been fucking with the Middle East. You know, we've been belligerent. You know, to say we haven't been belligerent, and again, it's not. I'm never to make excuses for any of these behaviors, but anyway, God, if you could have stopped and I agree. It's like that. Those arguments fall very, very flat. You know, that's sort of a non-starter as far as I'm concerned. You know, that's not what God's interested in. God isn't interested in getting involved. As I'm going to speak on behalf of God for a second, if you'll allow me. God doesn't like to get involved in individual situations. You know what I mean? It's like, again, like everything is, I believe in free will, but everything is sort of set. You know what I mean? Like the rules of engagement are set. We just have to sort of play with what we have. So yeah, I don't think, it wouldn't make sense to look at it like that. If that goes too deep into that. Yeah, U.S. Iran was terrible. U.S. Iran, U.S. Iraq, you know, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, you know. It's like, you know, the way I see it, it's like basically World War II ostensibly was a great success for the U.S. And I think we just tried to do that model over and over and over again. And it just wasn't that model. I mean, by, like, you know, interfering militarily and trying to get an outcome that we wanted. And it just hasn't worked in a lot of these other situations. And we're still doing it, you know, it's really fucking, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that we're still as overextended as we are. And the thing that scares me about it is literally look at, like, historically, every single empire that's ever collapsed, it's been because of militaristic overextension, right? Like, I'm not a historian. History was my worst subject. I'm still learning, but like the Roman Empire, you know, the British Empire, obviously, like France, Spain, like all of these countries and empires, they overextend themselves. They take out a bunch of debt, and eventually it comes up to bite them and they collapse and they have to give up a bunch of territory, and they have coups and shit, and it leads to disaster. So that's what I most worry about, is that we're doing that same model and we haven't learned from that obvious historical precedent. So that's kind of scary. Yeah. So then why believe in God? Again, because I don't believe in an active God, and I don't believe in a moral God, right? So that's why it's complicated. Lack of perspective, maybe. Perhaps you're infinitely blessed and not paying attention. Subjective. What do you mean? Also, answering a question about belief in God could mean you believe in love and stuff or suicide bombings. It's the values that are important. Wait. Also, answering a question about belief in God could mean you believe in love and stuff or suicide bombing. It's the values that's important. I don't know if I'm catching the core of your question, Mr. Gamer. Be better next time. We'll have you come up on the mic so we could chit chat about it. But I'm not an expert in these things, but I do like to think about it and talk about it. Anyway, we're all such lazy typers. No. You guys are just scared. You're scared to scared to debate me. I know. I'm just kidding. I appreciate you guys joining and chatting with me. I'm gonna get off now. And but I'll probably do some more of this, have some other videos and stuff to talk about. But ideally, get ready to come up and join me on the mic. Ideally, I want to meet you guys, so we can have a conversation. Like the video. If you're not subscribed, do that. I think you guys are subscribed though. Yeah, and that's it. People who believe in God could be good or bad, etc. Yeah, of course. You can believe in God and be great. You can believe in God and be the worst person ever. Obviously. There's lots of examples there. Sometimes the most, and the last, you'll this, atheist gamer, but oftentimes atheists represent, the values that Jesus would have preached much better than the most devout Christians, right? So in reality, atheists are the better, Christians in a weird way, So I'll leave you with that for now. But all right, I'll talk to you guys another time. Thanks for joining. Have a good evening, and bye-bye. Oops.